What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez. We're back once again with another Zenkaiger review, as we're set to go ahead and get into episode number 30, as we finally have broken into the 30s for this series, ladies and gentlemen. We probably have, what, like 15, maybe 18 episodes left. Not quite sure how many episodes we're getting for Zenkaiger here this year, but definitely more than halfway through this series, to certainly say the least. So, always nice when we break into a new batch of numbers, and that's what we wind up getting here for Zenkaiger episode number 30. An episode I certainly didn't mind. I definitely enjoyed it for certainly what it was. Nothing too over the top, but I did appreciate some of the brand new debuts of a brand new character in here, even a brand new weapon, because you know when it comes to boosters, bazookas, cannons of any type, I'm usually a pretty big fan of it, to be perfectly honest with you guys. So really enjoyed that aspect of the episode, but as far as like the villain of the week, the big theme, it was just okay for me. It wasn't anything too over the top that really floored me here this week. So solid episode all around, if you ask me. But when it comes to, just to get it out of the way, for those of you who don't know, or if you want a quick little review in regards to what has certainly happened here to kind of give us an idea of how we got to this particular point in time, we do see that we have ourselves a Persimmons world villain here this week. I personally have never eaten a persimmons, even though I do know that they do at least grow here in the States from time to time. I personally have never had one, so I am kind of curious. I personally love fruit, but I would certainly love to have one day. But we actually get the idea here of seeing the Persimmons world that our Zenkaigers are certainly trying to take out. But he unfortunately has backup here in this episode as we get introduced to Hakaiger for the very first time. Now, Persimmons actually does have a little bit of a secret, as we come to find out that it's not just Persimmons world, it's actually dry Persimmons world. So it actually creates like a dried persimmons fruit, which in turn, if you will, the idea of being hit with that persimmons wave not only affects the Zenkaigers, but other citizens of that particular town, as everybody literally starts drying up like mummies, if you will. I mean, talk about a massive case of dehydration. So there were an aspect of this episode that, at least playing up to the theme, that I thought was pretty funny in regards to having to rehydrate not only the Zenkaigers, but also Tukaiser also having like a hydration station, and you've got Flint back there with the boys just pouring water into all these random cups on this huge table, and getting an opportunity to see Tukaiser and the other team just kind of taking turns going back and forth, rehydrating in the middle of their final battle in order for them to go ahead and complete the fight at the end of the day. So enjoyable in that regard, certainly laughable also to a certain extent. So I definitely dug the villain of the week here. But really for me, the aspect of this episode that won me over was all the Hakaiger stuff, along with the Toji Tendo stuff. I am really thrilled that this episode at least does clarify to us, and this is something that we have been theorizing and talking about for weeks around here when we started getting little tidbits of information and trying to piece them together ourselves. The idea that really the Toji Tendo have really stolen all of the ideas of Kaito's parents. The idea of harboring them, keeping them in stasis, really picking their brains and their thought processes and things like that, and having somebody like Ijirude utilize the information that he's using, or utilizing the information that he's getting and turning those into weapons for the Toji Tendo, right? Whether that be the gears, schematics, whether that be State Caesar's sort of equipment and design. And we get to see the same thing here when it comes to Hakaiger. I mean, that's definitely something that we talked about previous in the past couple of episodes when we've seen Ijirude fascinated by Kaito's dad, maybe some of the information that he certainly still has within him, and utilizing that to go ahead and create a brand new experiment. I love the fact that Ijirude continues to play it up like it's something that he's done himself, right? When he mentions the idea of creating Hakaiger, I do find it fascinating that Gigi doesn't seem to believe him, or at least questions the idea. He's like, from scratch, huh? Like, he has some questions, and I definitely wonder if he's questioning the intelligence level of Ijirude, and that's something that I've been questioning also, is like, if Ijirude did not have Kaito's parents, how intelligent is this guy? How smart is this guy? Can he not only fight and fend for himself, but what can he create outside of what we've come to see from the Toji Tendo? So I think Gigi is onto something, and I think, again, when it comes to the Toji Tendo especially, they really have no problems in undermining each other, or at least embarrassing one another, so that maybe they can have a much be looked at in a much better light with their overlord Bokawas than maybe somebody else, right? So I can see somebody, especially somebody like Gigi, who really has no problems in throwing a wrench in somebody's plans and giving somebody a hard time. So I really enjoy the idea that Gigi kind of even questions the idea of what Ijirude's talking about in regards to, like, look at this new second experiment that I wind up putting together, right? The second one after Stay Caesar. Look what I've created from scratch, if you will, which we clearly know is a lie, and Gigi clearly knows that he's onto something, and I would not surprise me if eventually he calls Ijirude out on his BS. I am really looking forward to that, if that's something that certainly happens. But I continue to appreciate the fact here that we are focusing at least on Kaito's father. One of the theories and things that we talked about was, when it comes to Hakaiger, this is either going to be Kaito's father underneath all that, or the direction I'm kind of leaning now is the fact that he literally wind up utilizing the knowledge from Kaito's father to go ahead and create this, right? Even Si-chan confirms that for us, that the Hakaiger, along with the full power Zenkai canon that we see also debuted in this episode, are all part of Kaito's parents' schematics, and putting them all together, all prototypes that they've certainly created in the process of trying to eventually create maybe a Zenkaiger himself, right? Like maybe Zenkaiger is the final form that they wind up settling on, and maybe concepts of the Hakaiger is a prototype, something early on. Who knows? Maybe it's something that was eventually going to become like a powered up suit for Zenkaiger. Who certainly knows? But all that equipment is certainly meant for the Zenkaigers, but we clearly see Ijirude utilizing it for his purposes. So there is a part of Hakaiger clearly being alive or awake and talking and communicating, has a bit of a personality himself, right? We even see him laughing at something that Kaito mentions about being like the first world-saving mummy or something like that, and we see Hakaiger laughing. So while I'm not leaning towards the idea of Kaito's father actually being in the suit, because we do see the holographic image pop up in the Toji Tendo lab, and his father's eyes are certainly closed, so I do believe that he's very much in stasis. If there is a connection to his father, it's probably maybe like brain waves or molecular structure or something like that. Like maybe he is feeding his brain, his father's brain, into that particular body, if you will. And so, yeah, it would not surprise me if that's how Kaito's father is in fact connected to Hakaiger. So again, I don't think he's like under the mask or anything like that, but it would not surprise me if his father's mind or his brain waves or something like that is what's sort of helping function the Hakaiger also. So love the design. I think his suit looks absolutely great. And again, guys, you guys know I'm a huge fan of cannons, busters, blasters, whatever the case may be. So being able to see this utilized in here to perfection was amazing. I love the design of the cannon alone. I think it's really cool, just all the red Sentai leaders that you see on there. The first one being a big head of Aka Ranger, and then you've got everybody else, and then at the very tip, it's Zenkaiger. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, getting to see them charge it up and all the different Super Sentai symbols going around, really utilizing all their abilities to go ahead and attack. And even in that special attack, just from the effects alone, it looks very much, and I might have to go back and rewatch it, but it looks as though when Zenkaiger releases the blast and you see all the heads of the Super Sentai teams come together in a circle and they go and destroy the enemy, if you look in the background to the enemy, it looks like the Toei company logo with like the ocean and the waves crashing and stuff. If anything, I would just assume, because this is an anniversary season and we are showcasing all this Sentai, it would not surprise me if it's a nod or an homage, if you will, to the Toei company and really what it's represented over the past 45 years. So I thought that was a really cool little throw in there that they wind up having, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happens each and every time that they utilize it. But even getting the opportunity to see what that cannon can do, in a sense that not even just using it as a blaster, but calling forth random rangers that you want throughout the 45 years, right? Like, we've seen that tackled and dabbled a little bit by utilizing the gears. The gears will bring forth an entire team. Well, this one, now you get the opportunity to pick and choose who you certainly want to fight. And it feels as though the combinations that they're coming up with are all related to each other, whether it be like, hey, these are all ninja / samurai rangers, right? These are all science theme rangers. So they really are coupling them based off of what looks to be like their genre or their theme for the particular season. And I like the idea that they can either mix up the colors, keep the colors the same. I think in this episode, at least, all the colors were the same, because we had like 5 or 4 yellows and then 5 or 4 blues, if I'm not mistaken, I think at the very end. So really going out of their way to do a great job in making this an anniversary season, whether that be the Super Sentai teams, individual Sentais, a massive number of Zords, or reworking your current Zords to pay homage to some of the past ones that you've had in the past. So continuing to do a great job when it comes to the anniversary aspect of this episode. And overall, I thought this was a pretty solid episode. I had some fun certainly watching it, and I will be interested to see what else comes out of this Hakaiger situation. So I'm glad that some of our predictions and theories are kind of falling into place. I feel like we've said this maybe last week or even 2 weeks ago, that there certainly feels like there's a connection with Kaito's father and this upcoming character in Hakaiger, and I'm still very much on that path, especially when we do see Ijirude back in the lab, not only showcasing us the Hakaiger armor itself recharging, but also getting to see the hologram of his father. So I'm assuming his father is certainly still in stasis at that point in time, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe Kaito's father is under the mask, but I think if anything, I don't know if they're necessarily using his body, but they could be, right? I mean, the idea of using Stacy is the sense that you still needed a body in order to go ahead and utilize your plans and your designs and stuff. I am curious if Ijirude still needs a body, and maybe is using Kaito's father's, or if he literally did create this character from scratch and is maybe utilizing Kaito's father's brainwaves and his his molecular structure and all this scientific mumbo jumbo. So definitely leaning towards both of those aspects, but I definitely am going to be interested to see how it all plays itself out. If anything, I thought the fight sequence at the end was pretty cool. Like, for me, I feel like it's been a minute since I've actually seen some of the combinations of our Zenkaigers actually fighting in Zord battle. I feel like they've done such a I don't want to say a disservice, but they've really utilized sort of like the Super 2 Kaiser and the Super Zenkaiger stuff, right? The Kaiju combinations and stuff. So to kind of see Gaon and Jurin combined again, along with Majin and Vroom and stuff, it felt like going back to the beginning in a sense, and seeing them sort of fight in their Zords. And I even love the little puns that they had for the Kaki, I believe they refer to it as, right? I guess Kaki is a term that can, depending on how you utilize it in a sentence, maybe you're meaning something significantly different. So the fact that they had like 3 or 4 different attacks in here in regards to like a Kaki attack, but you had no idea what was coming your way, right? Like fire or oysters or a planting pot sort of thing. I thought that was actually pretty fun for them to mess around with puns a little bit, especially in the Japanese language. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, overall, guys, I honestly didn't mind this episode. I thought it was pretty solid, rather enjoyable. But listen, at the end of the day, guys, I definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts. What do you guys think about Hakaiger? Do you think it's Kaito's father actually in that suit? Do you think it's just schematics that Ijirude put together and wind up creating, and is utilizing his father's brain thoughts and his brain waves and stuff? What do you guys think, and what did you certainly think about this week's episode? Because remember, these are just my A+ opinions. I want to know yours, though, so let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. And until next week, we'll certainly see you then. So do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. Take care, guys. Bye. Ooh, I almost forgot. Full throttle, non-stop. See you later, guys.